A major scandal is unfolding at the Potiskum Correctional Centre in Yobe State after an officer of the Nigerian Correctional Service was accused of raping and impregnating an inmate. The officer, identified as ASC2 Sani Sela Badejo, allegedly carried out the act with the help of a female officer guarding the women's section. Officials say the inmate, Blessing Sunday, is already 27 weeks pregnant. Another inmate, Salma, was also allegedly assaulted by the same officer. Despite the gravity of the violations, insiders claim some senior officials are working to cover up the incident and push for an abortion. The case has reportedly reached the Controller General of Corrections through the zonal office. Sources say the Controller of Yobe Command officially notified ACG Zone R, Adamu Yahya, in September, shortly after the matter became public within the service. The zonal office has recommended disciplinary action with several officials accused of involvement in a cover-up. They include the State Controller Abdullahi Ibrahim, the officer in charge Ibrahim Tafida, and other staff linked to the movement and protection of the suspect. Sources allege attempts were made to silence the matter, including meetings with the inmate's family and the reassignment of implicated officers to new posts. When contacted, the State Controller denied any knowledge of the case. The zonal ACG also declined to comment, while the command spokesperson said he was investigating and would respond. When inmates go to the prisons or sent, like we now call it, correctional centers, we expect that they will be released back into the society whole and as better citizens. But when those in command downplay that and as in fact assault, prisoners or victims of, prison incarceration, what then becomes the fate of the common man? Let's talk about it.
I mean, it's when you think this country is trying to be better, in quotes, you just find out that things like this still go on, behind the scene. And it just goes to show that we have a long way to go as a society in terms of our morals, our systems, justice system, speaking in grand terms. Because now you find that that's such a scary situation. It's been trying to be covered up, right? And like you rightly said, in as much as these people are prisoners, they still have their human rights. I mean, no prisoner deserves to be sexually assaulted because they are prisoners. I mean, but like I would say on the show, when things like this come to the limelight, that just means that this will be going on in many other places out there, or situations like this that have been covered for years before now. And if you look at the number of people who are playing this whole scandal, now you see that it's not a small matter, given that the fellow woman was the one opening the doors for such an act to be committed, given that some officials were trying to cover this thing up, just means that this scandal of things like this have eaten deep into our prison correctional facilities. And our government, the prison body as a whole, to begin looking into these things. I'm sure if they do that, they'll find out that things like this have been going on for long. And then we can properly, join us together and say no to things like this. I do hope that the perpetrators are brought to book, that is, including those that assisted in the act and those that committed the act themselves, and those that try to also cover it up. Because like when things like this happen, we feel to hear the final decisions. I hope we get to hear what happened, in the end. But now that just leaves the prisoners now that in quotes supposedly supposed to be corrected, since it's a correctional facility. Now they have to go through the trauma of such an act again. So I don't know if we don't think about these things deeply. It's just because of the fact that our systems are not strong enough to hold people accountable. Like I always say on the show, in this part of the world, accountability is one of the issues, it's one of our problems. It might seem like a simple word, but that is what allows the existence of many ill doings to keep still happening in our society. Things like this keep happening because people are not held accountable under the law. Things like this and more, even if it comes to governance, when it comes to security, when it comes to even we, the civilians, the things that we're supposed to be held accountable for, there are things that our government should be held accountable for, but we fail to be held accountable. The system fails to hold people accountable, except a
Right.
selected few, and most times, civilians that probably do not have, in quotes, power, basically. But when you find things like this going on, you see people trying to cover up, people trying to change the story because, the other party probably has, in quotes, nothing to lose, right? Such a scary thing to have going on in our society. But I hope the justice, our law catches up to them.